Hey, what's up YouTube? Scotty with Evil Castrigal. Back with another shop day video today, working on the Elsifour. If you've seen the first video we put out on the Elsifour, we've got big plans for this frame you see behind me right now. It's down to the frame. But I want to get into some of the parts that I've ordered for it, and I'm going to fit some new shocks on this frame today before it all gets taken back down apart and painted and cleaned up and all kinds of stuff. Obviously, we're going to be welding on this thing, all kinds of crazy stuff. Let's get into what I am putting on it today. So just giving you a little close-up look at what the bike looks like right now. This was a 1978 CB400T. The forks came off of a 1986 CB400SC, the Nighthawk 450. And the reason I did that is they are longer travel with a leading axle down there. Probably going to put some stiffer springs in this fork and see if we can make it work. This is going to be sort of an off-roadish adventure motorcycle. You can see I've got some wood blocks here. Cut those to length because we increased the travel on this thing a lot. To help with that, we also have a longer swing arm. This also came off of the Nighthawk 450. It's almost 2 inches longer, I believe, over the previous swing arm. So that's going to help with wheelbase, and it also will help with the geometry of the shocks, which you can see are at a nice angle there. Speaking of shocks, let's take a look at what we're putting on this thing. So you can see I've got lots of parts on the shop cart here. This is the 450 motor that is going to be going in this motorcycle. This came off the Nighthawk as well. Super low mileage, only like, I think it was 2,400 miles on this motor. The bike obviously sat a lot. I kind of go down through here. You can see we've got some cool, this is obviously going to be the tail light at some point when a fender goes on. Those are the carburetors off of the Nighthawk. They're in really good shape. This is going to be the headlight. This is just an Acerbis Elba, kind of an old school thing. It straps on with some rubber straps. This is the headlight for that. Controls I'm not really worried about, but what we're putting on today, down here at the bottom, these are some pure Chinesium Öhlins knockoffs. Really cool looking shock. They've got adjustment up here. It does click detents, but I don't think that it actually does anything. I think it's for looks. But the bottom here, you do have some rebound and compression adjustment here. So pretty cool. I think they're going to look sick on here. These are the same eye-to-eye length as the wooden blocks. So I've got to go to the hardware, get some nice grade 8 bolts, and get them mounted onto this motorcycle. Pretty exciting. Obviously the fender's not going to be there in the future. Tank, lower fender, it's all going to be dirt bike stuff. Got to figure out the tank. I don't know what I'm going to do. You can see I've already got a set of Renthals on there. So that looks pretty sweet. Anyway, time to figure out how to mount these things. And one more thing, you can obviously see I've still got all the original electronics on this thing. Glass fuses, all that. That's all going away. I've got some cool stuff coming from NWT. A whole new plug-and-play electric system for this motorcycle. Really excited. That's obviously not here yet. That'll be in a future video. We'll get more into that, but we are getting rid of all of this crazy wiring. No crazy buttons. All this is going away for a smaller setup. So that's going to be in future stuff. Let's get to the shocks. All right, so the shocks are on. And you can tell it doesn't totally look right. And that's because I ordered the wrong shocks. So I really wanted 16-inch shocks. Well, it turns out I got like 14-inch shocks. I thought I ordered the right ones, but I went back and looked at the order, and sure enough, I ordered them an inch short. So the rear end's not up as high as I would like, which then, of course, is making the rake on the front a little more slack than I would like, and I don't get as much travel out of it. Obviously, this seat's not the seat that's going to be on the bike. But I got to return those and order some new ones. I wanted to put them on because I had to go to the hardware and pick up some nice bolts, make sure that the measurements were right and everything for mounting. So when I get the new shocks, those bolts will still work, so that's all good. Yeah, anyway, the shocks are cool though. I'd mess with the rebound down here. This is just your high speed, or actually just, you can just speed up or slow down the rebound. I think probably the only adjustment this shock has. I don't think this actually does anything. I think it's just for looks. But they look really good. They seem to work all right, so I think that'll work out decent. Okay, so it's another day. The last shocks were a little too short, and honestly, I didn't like the way they looked once I got them here in person, so I ordered something else. Let's see what we picked up. So these here units are the actual length that I wanted. They're 16.5 inches eye to eye. They still have the rebound adjustment on the bottom. They've got some fake adjustment up here. I'm pretty sure that's not real, but they look pretty good. I've already got one sort of on the bike. We're going to get them bolted on and see how it looks, and the new head tube angle with the actual length shock that I wanted. Okay, they are now on, and that looks so much better. The head tube angle, really what I was after. I mean, put some off-road tires and some high fenders on this thing, I think we're going to have something. Obviously, got to put the motor in it still. If you're wondering where I got these, I did get these off of eBay. You can find them for anywhere from like $160 to $225, depending on the color and manufacturer, supplier, that sort of thing. These did have a coupon on them when I bought them, so I think I ended up getting them for like $160 shipped to the door, which was pretty good. I think they look pretty sharp. They've got a thick shaft. They should be pretty beefy. And if you're wondering what these are actually for, these are actually for a children's Polaris RZR 170 for the rear suspension. So they might be a little stiff. I don't know. I mean, this bike, when it's going to have the motor in it, it's going to be pretty heavy. So I think they'll work out okay. But now I think we are to the point where I'm going to take this thing all the way down to the frame, because I've got to paint that frame. And all of these electronics are going. Swapping out for a new NWT system. Super simple. Excited about that. We've got a few more parts I'll show you, but let's check them out. First thing we got here, this is a sealed bearing kit from All Balls for the steering tube up there. Getting rid of the ball bearings that are in there. Those are a nightmare. These are going to be a lot nicer. I bought this little KTM style speedometer tachometer setup. I'm going to try and mount it somewhere up here. I will say this number plate headlight combo that I purchased is cool looking. It does make it tight up here. So I don't know if I'm going to mount that above where the crossbar is, or if I'm going to try and get it down in there. Something like that. The only problem I can see with this is any kind of vibration. You know, these are Chinese electronics here. I don't know if they would hold up to it or not. But this is pretty cool. I like how small it is. All right, and these are the final pieces that have came in that are going on today just to kind of mock up. We got some levers, clutch, and a brake master cylinder set up. This is actually for a CRF 450R, like 08 era, maybe a little earlier. You can probably tell that from the hot start lever here. So my idea with this setup is this hot start lever here. I'm going to use that as the choke. So that'll just be an easy, clean looking setup. Less stuff down here. No more pull knob. Just pull that in and use the choke that way. I like the breakable levers. This whole setup came like this from Amazon. These are not Honda OEM parts. These are obviously knockoff stuff. But I have to say, they look like they're pretty good knockoffs. I mean, we haven't actually, you know, pressurized the system yet to see how these feel. I love the way that the Nissan brakes feel that come on Japanese bikes, specifically the Honda Nissans. So hopefully these feel like that somewhat. I like the modulation. That's the reason I went with an off-road setup for the front brake. If we are going to do any kind of light trail riding with this, I just like the modulation of the Honda brakes. So I want to see how these feel. The problem you get when you're going to run something that's for an off-road bike is this does not have a front brake switch. So what we are going to do to solve that problem is the banjo bolt down here. Well, they make pressure switches that are built into banjo bolts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to install one of those here whenever we get to that point. So it will operate the front brake light from the banjo bolt. And the hydraulic brake switch showed up. So you can see it replaces your banjo bolt here. And you've got, if my camera will focus here, hold please. There we go. You've got the two prongs, just like the analog switch that would be underneath here. Actually, let me show you. So this is the analog switch I was talking about. You can see the two prongs right there. That's what we're replacing. All super duper trekking stuff. Pretty cool. I think the setup's going to look pretty sick. Eventually we'll get rid of this chrome fender down here and we'll have a red, probably a Preston Petty fender up front, and we'll do something similar in the rear. You've seen the picture. If not, I'll put the picture in again. I did sit on the shocks, quite stiff, but we don't have the motor in yet. So I'm hoping that once all of that stuff goes back into here, weight-wise, I think we'll have a pretty good amount of preload on these, and they'll start to feel pretty good. One more thing that has came in that we're not using yet, because obviously the motorcycle's not running or anywhere close to being in running order yet, but I've been talking about this NWT ignition, actually the entire wiring harness setup that we're going to be using to replace all of this old glass tube fused old school crazy amount of wiring that this motorcycle had. It's all going to be simplified in this one little control unit right here. This is called the TC3.P. This is your entire wiring harness and control hub. Everything is controlled by this little thing. It's plug and play. I don't know if you can see through the package, but everything just plugs right in here. No messing around. Super easy to set up from what I understand. So I'm really excited about that. And we went with their key switch as well. And that's just because these old bikes have like a really complicated ignition system. And they have actually, so the Nighthawk over there, that bike, which the motor and all the electronics are coming off of that bike, right? So that bike had a electronic steering lock and all kinds of crazy stuff. We're not going to be using any of that. It's going to be really simple. So we went with their standard key switch. It was pretty affordable. You don't really have to go to Amazon to get stuff like that. You can just go to these guys down at Atlanta Motor Works, and really affordable stuff. These are the handlebar switches. Really simple. You can probably see them in there. So it's just two buttons on either side. You're looking at the electric start button right here and the right turn signal. So it'll just be 4 buttons on this entire handlebar setup. You'll have your electric start and your turn signal right here. And then over here you'll have a light switch and a left turn signal. So right turn signal over here, left turn signal over here, kind of like a Harley style setup. But really simple. The light switch, you just obviously when we install it, we'll go through all of the stuff, but you just kind of cycle it through the different settings on the headlights, and obviously on off on the turn signal. Really, really simple stuff. So that'll be really clean looking up there. I don't want a whole bunch of crazy stuff up here because I want this to look more like a dirt bike. So that's why we went with this, and we also went with it because it's supposed to be so easy, and I'm not a motorcycle electrician. I don't want to mess with it. We do also have the NWT solenoid coming for this motorcycle, and we are getting their rectifier. I'm not going to use any of this crap. So it's going to be way smaller, and I'm really excited. Can't wait. I'd like to give a quick shout out to the guys at Atlanta Motorcycle Works who I ordered all this stuff from. I'm not affiliated with them at all. Didn't get anything for free, nothing like that. I bought this stuff, but they were super cool dudes, and they helped me out. Christian, the guy on the phone, what's up, dude, if you're seeing this, but he was really helpful in getting me exactly what I needed for this build. We talked through the whole idea, and they kind of walked me through everything that I needed. It was really, they were really helpful, and yeah, I'm excited. If I'm going to do this again, I would definitely be buying from them again. All right. Well, there she is right now. Not a lot, but a little something. If you're still watching me ramble on about this project that's like nowhere near done, I would like some input. Let me know in the comments below some ideas that you think would look cool on this build. If you've seen the picture on my ultimate idea of the build, but there's some things I'm still trying to iron out. The seat and the seat pan, I don't know. I'm thinking about using the stock seat pan because I like the lock mechanism that's on there. Obviously, this crazy hump thing, whoo, that stuff, it's got to go. I would like a flat profile, and the tank. I'll show you what I'm dealing with there. So with the Nighthawk front end, the tank, well, boop, it hits. And obviously would like to have a lot more steering angle than that. So I'm thinking about just denting this tank in and trying to run the stock one because it bolts up so nicely. But for off-road stuff, it's putting the rider spot pretty far back. So there's really no like getting up on the tank in the current setup. So I don't know. I mean, if any of you CB400 dudes are on here watching this and you got any ideas on what would fit differently, like if I could get a DR650 tank or an XR650 tank or something to work on this thing, that would be awesome. If not, maybe the easiest thing to do is just to dent the tank and try and custom make it work, you know. I don't know. Let me know. I'd love some ideas. Enough rambling. Let's close out the video. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned. This thing is going to be moving a little bit faster now as parts start to trickle in. I'm going to be taking it all the way down and painting the frame before I really go much further because, you know, I just don't want to be putting the bike together and taking it back apart. I'd rather just knock it out. This is going to happen, so if anything goes wrong with that motor, we're going to fix it. Hope to God that nothing is wrong. It seemed like it was pretty good before I took it off the motorcycle. Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. And I'll see you in the next one.